It's around 10 a.m., May 18th, 2024, JFK International Airport, New York. A young man exits a plane from St. Lucia, heading home to Taiwan. He's 23 years old, clean-cut, unremarkable. He stretches his legs, wanders through the terminal, completely unaware that he's being watched. Suddenly, several FBI officers surround him. They tell him to get on the ground. Rui-Siang Lin, known online as Pharaoh, is arrested on the spot. 4 years of dark web operations, over $100 million in illegal drug sales, an exit scam that extorted his own vendors. And it all ended because of one stupid mistake, a layover flight through American soil. This is the story of how a 23-year-old crypto enthusiast became the dark web's most hated kingpin, and how the FBI turned his own greed into a trap. Rewind to March 12, 2020. Rui-Siang Lin, going by the alias Pharaoh, sits at his desk in Taiwan, sketching a simple workflow diagram: vendors, buyers, product listings, encrypted PGP keys, API tokens, servers. He's not planning a legitimate tech startup. He's designing a dark web marketplace. Lin had been studying the architecture of legendary illegal markets like Silk Road and Alphabay. He noticed something: marketplaces that sold everything, drugs, weapons, hacking tools, attracted too much attention from law enforcement. So he decided to narrow his focus: drugs and anonymity tools only. He called it Incognito Market, a playful nod to Google's incognito mode. After finalizing the diagram, he saves it and emails it to his personal Gmail account. A small action, one he'd forget about. But it would become a critical piece of evidence later. By November 2020, Incognito Market quietly launched on Dread, the Reddit of the dark web. Pharaoh and his team invited select users into a closed community. The pitch was simple: users will buy drugs and disappear. No tracking, no tracing. But trust on the dark web doesn't come easy. Too many marketplaces had turned into exit scams, admins stealing user funds and vanishing overnight. So Pharaoh played it smart. He built credibility slowly. Vendors had to submit resumes, complete with past experience, recommendations from other markets, and encrypted PGP messages. They also paid a bond ranging from $300 to about $500, depending on their reputation. Payments were accepted only in Bitcoin or Monero. Incognito operated on an escrow system. Buyers sent money to the marketplace's wallet first. The marketplace took a 5% commission, then credited the vendor's account. But the money didn't actually leave the site's control until the vendor requested a withdrawal. This system created a massive pool of crypto sitting in Incognito's bank, a temptation that would eventually prove irresistible. April 5, 2022. German authorities announced the takedown of Hydra Market, the largest illegal marketplace in the world. Hydra had been a giant, facilitating billions in transactions across Russian-speaking countries. When it fell, thousands of vendors and buyers scattered searching for a new home. Incognito was perfectly positioned. From April to June 2022, Incognito's monthly transaction volume skyrocketed from $700,000 to $2 million. At a 5% commission rate, Pharaoh was now pulling in at least $100,000 per month. He was getting rich. Fast. But what he didn't know was that the FBI had already begun watching. One day, after Hydra's takedown, the FBI opened an investigation into Incognito. The lead investigator was Special Agent Mark Rubens. His first move? He ordered 5 grams of drugs from the site. 6 days later, a package arrived at a designated pickup address. The FBI tested the substance. It was real. Incognito was a legitimate target. But the FBI only had 2 pieces of information: a Bitcoin address used for the purchase and Pharaoh's Dread account. To crack the case, They needed to trace the money. Bitcoin transactions are public, but not necessarily traceable if the user is careful. Pharaoh's money laundering process was multi-layered. He didn't send Bitcoin directly from Incognito's wallet to an exchange. Instead, he routed it through intermediary wallets, then swapped it for Monero, a cryptocurrency designed to be untraceable. Finally, he'd sell the Monero on an exchange for US dollars. It was a solid strategy, nearly impossible to crack, but only if he didn't make mistakes. May 15, 2022, Pharaoh logged on to Dread and made a catastrophic error. He complained publicly that a crypto swapping service had confiscated his funds, claiming they detected criminal activity. Worse, he mentioned the exact time and amount of Bitcoin he'd sent. The FBI, monitoring his account, saw everything. They traced the transaction to what they called Admin Wallet 1, a wallet that directly received Incognito's profits. Then they dug deeper. It turned out that Admin Wallet 1 had been used to partially pay for 4 domain registrations on Namecheap. 3 domains were related to dark web market promotion. The 4th was a personal website. The personal domain had been paid for by 2 sources, a crypto exchange account subject to KYC, Know Your Customer verification, and Admin Wallet 1, which contributed a measly $229 in Bitcoin. That single transaction linked the KYC account to Pharaoh's wallet. The FBI forced the exchange to hand over the account details. The account belonged to a 23-year-old Taiwanese man named Rui-Siang Lin. The Namecheap account was also registered under Lin's name. And the personal website? It was all about him. The FBI now had everything: Lin's emails, social media accounts, domains, and internet business connections. July 19, 2022. Lin woke up to his phone exploding with notifications. Incognito's servers had gone offline. He frantically searched for solutions while still logged into his personal Gmail account. What he didn't realize was that the FBI had already compromised the servers. They'd identified a foreign server reseller that advertised services to dark web marketplaces. The reseller leased servers from a company likely based in Europe, one willing to cooperate with US authorities. The FBI copied everything: Bitcoin addresses, vendor information, customer data. And as Lin Googled for fixes, the FBI watched in real time through his Gmail. Inside his inbox they found the smoking gun, the workflow diagram he'd emailed to himself back in March 2020. It perfectly described how Incognito operated. The case was sealed. Rui-Siang Lin was Pharaoh. February 8, 2024, St. Lucia. Lin, now working for Taiwan's foreign ministry, had traveled to the Caribbean island as part of a government assignment. He was scheduled to meet with what he believed were investors from Fabric VC, a well-known crypto venture capital fund. They told him they wanted to invest in one of his projects, but there was a language barrier. They asked him to download a real-time translation app called Zilla. Lin complied. The moment he installed the app, it infected his system. Within minutes, his crypto accounts were drained. Over $130,000 in NFTs and likely hundreds of thousands more in illegal profits gone. The hackers had posed as investors, stolen employee credentials from Fabric VC, and built an entire fake business just to hook him. And they had no idea they'd just robbed the owner of one of the largest dark web marketplaces in the world. February 20th, 2024. Vendors started reporting withdrawal issues. Transactions weren't going through. Fake transaction logs appeared. The site behaved erratically. Rumors spread. Incognito was exit scamming. Pharaoh denied it. "We're not scamming. Pinky promise," he said. But on March 10th, using a new username, Staying Innovative, he confirmed it. Incognito had stolen millions. But the betrayal didn't end there. Pharaoh posted a chilling message. We've accumulated a list of private messages, transaction info, and order details over the years. We'll be publishing the entire dump of 557,000 orders and 862,500 crypto transaction IDs. This is an extortion. Vendors were given an ultimatum: pay up to $20,000 or have their identities leaked to law enforcement. Dozens of vendors panicked. Some paid, but then Hugbunter, the creator of Dread, intervened. He threatened to expose Pharaoh's real identity unless he backed down. In a private conversation, Hugbunter revealed that he'd traced Lin's Monero nodes back to his personal website. Lin folded. He claimed the extortion was just an April Fool's prank, a pathetic attempt to save face. But the damage was done. Lin had stolen millions, extorted his own community, and made himself the most hated man on the dark web. March 25, 2024, St. Lucia. Lin sat on a beach preparing notes for a seminar. Ironically, he'd been hired by the St. Lucian police, funded by the Taiwanese embassy, to conduct a 4-day training on cryptocurrency and cybercrime prevention. The man who'd just orchestrated a $100 million drug empire was teaching cops how to fight crypto crime. The FBI had been tracking him since his stopover in Canada, but they couldn't extradite him from Taiwan. They had to wait. And then Lin made his final mistake. He booked a flight home to Taiwan with a layover in the United States, specifically JFK Airport in New York. The moment his plane landed, FBI agents were waiting. May 18, 2024, JFK Airport. Lin walked through the terminal completely unaware. FBI officers surrounded him, told him to get on the ground. He was arrested on charges of engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise, narcotics conspiracy, money laundering, and distributing drugs. He faces life in prison. The dark web community erupted in celebration. Users on Dread mocked his incompetence, emailing himself diagrams complaining about hacks on public forums, posting about dark web markets on his personal Twitter. One video even showed him presenting a DDoS prevention method he'd used on Incognito while revealing his real face. Every mistake, every shortcut, every moment of arrogance. It all led to this. Rui-Siang Lin is currently detained in New York, awaiting trial. In December 2024, he pleaded guilty to operating Incognito Market. In May 2025, Taipei prosecutors seized assets worth over $667 million from Lin. The FBI had already confiscated all of his data back in 2022, meaning he had nothing left to bargain with. His case sent shockwaves through the dark web. It exposed how even the most sophisticated criminals fall apart when human error meets sustained law enforcement pressure. Lin wasn't caught by some brilliant cyber forensics breakthrough. He was caught because he couldn't resist posting on forums, reusing wallets, and trusting his own arrogance over operational security. The so-called dark web isn't a safe haven, it's a hunting ground, and the FBI is patient. All they needed was for Pharaoh to walk into their territory, and he did. Thanks for watching. To the end of this documentary, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel for more documentaries like this. See you in the next one.